morning, gentlemen. Welcome to today's panel on investing in women, ambapo kwa Kiswahili tunasema uwekezashi katika kina mama. Lazima leo tutumie pia lugha yetu ya taifa, kwa hivyo tutaongea Kimombo, kwa lugha ya Kimombo, tena kidogo katika lugha ya Kiswahili. Kwa hivyo leo tuko na panelists wetu watatu ambao saidia katika haya majadiliano. We have Sarah Muhoya, who is the head of Positioning and Democracy Trust Fund at Eco Network Africa, and she is also a director at the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Sarah, if you could wave so that they can see you. Hi. Hoi. And we have our champion, Dr. Mary Mbithi from the University of Nairobi Women's Economic Empowerment Hub. Dr. Mary Mbithi wears many hats, but for today she is a researcher. And she is going to be talking to us as an economist also. She is an economist and a senior lecturer at the Department of Economics, University of Nairobi, and she's also the director of research at the University of Nairobi Women's Economic Empowerment Hub. And then we have Nancy Gitonga, who is the CEO of African Women's Entrepreneurship Program Kenya and the president and founder of Zamora Consulting Company. And Zamora Consulting Company does something very interesting, Nancy, because you work towards promoting increased women's participation in trade and economic empowerment. So we are looking forward to hearing from you. So in order to start, we need to understand what is investment. Uwekezaji. Can you please tell me that in Kiswahili? Uwekezaji. Uwekezaji. What does it mean to invest in women? How do we invest in women, and why should we invest in women, Dr. Mary Mbithi?
Good morning. And it is great to see all of you this morning. You are looking fabulous from where I am seated. So it's great. And what is investment, and what does it mean to invest in women? Investment means setting aside resources, and the resources can be time, it can be money, it can be commitment, and many other ways, setting them aside for future benefit. You commit the resources, you use them today, and you expect to find output or benefits or returns. To be more specific, returns in the future. So investing in women means committing resources in terms of money or time or whatever other commitments governments can make into women. The women themselves, as well as the women's work or the sectors that support women's work. So when this is done, then it means the women themselves will develop, and it can also mean that committing resources in those sectors where women work most, such as areas related to food production, food preparation, such as in energy sector, and also health, because that is the area where women's work is normally is. Women spend a lot of work in those areas, and because of women spend a lot of time in those areas, and those areas contribute to what we call unpaid care work, and therefore they become a barrier, because time spent in doing unpaid care work, which is very important for the family and is done with a lot of love, it means that time spent there, then it cannot be spent in doing other activities. So it's about spending, money, on those sectors so that the work for women and paid care work goes down, and this sets time for women to get involved in the other areas. How do we invest in women? We need to invest in these sectors both from the public spaces through government and government actions, government commitments in resources, as well as in the private sector or in the corporate world. Because again, the barriers that keep women from participating in the economy and contributing to development, we can find them both in the private space of work, in the corporate world, as well as in the public sector. So for government, it can take commitments to reducing the barriers to women's participation. It can also take actions to enhancing women's participation, including ensuring access of women to finances to do business, including, investing in girls' education and provision of the necessary information for them to be able to participate in opportunities that come up in the economy. And the private sector, again, they need to commit resources to support women to overcome the barriers that make them not participate in leadership or participate in the workplace in a way that simplifies their doing this. Now, why is it important to invest in women? It is important to invest in women because investment in women has a multiplier impact, or simply a ripple impact that trickles down to the whole economy. You invest on the women, we know this will touch in the children, it will touch in the family, it will touch in the community, and it will touch in the whole economy. When we invest in girls, and especially girls' education, we know that, for example, in Kenya, the recent report from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, Kenya Demographic and Health Survey shows that teenage pregnancies in Kenya is about 15%. And this is a big number of people that will drop out from school. So what happens next? It's necessary to invest in finding out what we can do to these people, because when we spend $1 investing in a girl, we know that our future will be better by over $20. That is very important, because we invest today and expect to find the returns in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mbithi. And allow me to just bring this conversation home. I don't know, looking at the audience, I don't know how many of us woke up and had to do a couple of things which Dr. Mbithi is talking about. How many of us had to prepare breakfast, prepare people? I can see Winnie Maru saying that she had to do all those things. Gentlemen, how many of you had to do that? Prepare breakfast, make sure people are ready to go out to work? How many? The ladies, how many of you did that this morning? So you can see where Dr. Mbithi is heading, right? There is a lot of unpaid care work, and we need to think about it. And there are many other things that we need to think about that prevent women from getting into positions of leadership. But I want to come to you now, Sarah. What sorts of investments do we need to make in order to promote women's leadership? We're talking about the 2/3 gender rule, and yesterday we had Dr. Nancy Baraz, Winnie Lichuma, and the experiences of women in politics. Basically, they are saying, once you get into that position of leadership, nobody wants to know that you are now, you have this position of leadership, which is in the public space, but they still expect you, uko na majukumu nyumbani, you must still undertake those, your responsibilities within the home, and sometimes there can be a clash. So what sorts of investments do we need in order to promote women's leadership in this country?
Thank you. Thank you very much. First, I want to concur with my sister here about the barriers, and I'm glad in her definition, she spoke to the barriers. And I think part of the motivation for this conversation is for us to say, to take us to the level of the whole issue of inclusion, to say that the basic reason, one of the basic reasons why we want to invest in women, and I dare say girls, is so that we can create more inclusive, more diverse society in which men and women, boys and girls are all living and participating in society as they should. So for me, that is very important. But in terms of, and therefore, I think that when we speak to issues of investment, we sometimes just go to women's economic issues, but we do know that they got to transverse, they got to go beyond that. We need that whole 360 definition that takes us to the holistic person, so that we see the investment as in totality. And so in terms of what sort of investment we need to do, I think for starters, we do need to appreciate the value that women bring. And I want to say girls and women, because the minute you don't see the value of a girl, and you just see the value of that girl as only fetching water, carrying firewood, I don't know in Nairobi what they do, washing dishes. These days there are washing machines, so I you know, maybe definitions have changed. But we need to start by appreciating the value that women bring to the table. And those of us who have grown up either in rural Kenya or in urban areas, we know that it is the women majorly who carry the bulk of the, you know, of children, of their families, etc. But I don't think that even the value of the women leaders that we often criticize has been appreciated. I think that we need to interrogate what value did, for example, Rose Warohio, Mother Karua, Zipporah Kitoni, and just keep coming over. What value have they brought? And they have brought a lot of value, even in leadership. So we are more full of criticism than seeing what it is they have brought to the table. I think of some studies, and I think this is where the University of Nairobi comes in. They need to invest more in research to continually help us appreciate the value proposition. Secondly, I think that we need to honestly invest in creating, in expanding the pools from which we draw our women's leadership. You know, I've been intrigued to look at the figures, for example, in the 2022 general election. I'll just read them for you. We had a total of 16,100 candidates, like from president to MCA, including the women reps. There were 16,100. Out of those, we had a total of 14,101 male candidates. You can see where I'm leading to. So basically, we only had a total of 1,999 women candidates, like in total. So what were our results? Out of the 14,101 men who ran, we recorded 1,682 successful men who are right now holding various leadership positions in the country, elective, that is. How many women? Including the 47, they're 200 women. What that tells us is that our pool is so small that it can't yield numbers. It doesn't matter, Daisy, what we do. We give them lessons, we give them posters. They are so small, and I think Dr. Nancy Baraza pointed to that fact. So we do need to invest in and expanding the pool of women who are ready, willing, prepared, knowledgeable, capable to run successful campaigns and to hold leadership. Now, what that also says is that we also need to invest, once they are in, we need to invest in their agenda. What is their agenda? What change will they make? Once they, because that change, that impact is what will then roll back and be the yardstick by which they will be judged. So we need to invest again right there in the woman who is leading. And I think finally, because we can't exhaust all the things that we can do, we need to invest very seriously in massive campaigns for the public to understand that it is not a gift to women to lead. It is not welfare. It is actually a right, beyond a right. It is important for all of us. And finally, we need to invest in collaborations. I've spoken about the role that the University of Nairobi can play. If you look at that, you will see the role that KEWOPA can play. You see a role that those of us who are like Democracy Trust, Fadeco Network Africa, Crown Trust, etc., can play. So we need to invest again in collaborations and enhancing partnerships so that then we can, as the UN Women keep saying, deliver as one. So I think there is a huge investment that needs to go on, but I can't stop before I say, we always asking, where are the women? We need to invest in mining the women. And ladies and gentlemen, our women are not here. They're here, but they're more elsewhere. Our women are in chamas. Our women are in the faith-based communities, in churches, in mosques. Our women are in the tea farms. Our women are everywhere, but not the usual normal spaces. So we need to go to those spaces where we will find the women. We mind them, we educate them, we identify them, we tap them, we train them, work together, and basically just do what we haven't done or go beyond what we haven't done so that we move ourselves into completely transformative and innovative approaches that will then, we can then invest in. And it is not about money here. For me, it's more about the ideas, the concepts, because I'm a believer in that money follows ideas, not the other way around. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Sarah. And I think the rallying call you're giving us is we need holistic investments in women, not just to get women into positions of leadership, but to keep them there. Thank you. Nancy, I would now like to come to you. And my question to you is, what then are the sorts of investments that are likely to benefit women? Where should we be saying this is where we should invest if we intend to benefit women, whether it is women in leadership, whether it is women's enterprises, whether it is women in different sectors? What sorts of investments do we need to make so as to benefit women?
Sorry, thank you. Thank you very much, Daktari. Akina mama mpo? Akina mama mpo? Asante sana. Thank you very much, Daktari. It excites me when I meet a group of women, because to be very honest, whether we like it or not, if you're not economically empowered, if you are not economically empowered, my sister, even when you left your house in the morning, you may not have had the power to put some little tea, a cup of tea on top of the table for your children. So for me, trade and gender goes together, not only in Kenya, but in Africa. I am glad my two sisters have really brought it out very well, and I'm very happy because, like Sarah has really brought out the political angle. We must look at this from an holistic perspective: political, economic, social, and technological. If we women must make steps that are going to help us get included. We are talking about inclusion. So how are we going to package ourselves? Tutajipangaje akina mama? Hiyo ndio swali. Siasa si mchezo, and you had our own CS tell us here yesterday. Si mchezo. Lazima utatafuta hela uingie nayo pale. It's not a joke. You must invest, and invest wisely. You must have experts with you, so we must invest in a lot of experts. And I'm happy because all these organizations here, they have invested in terms of technical very seriously when it comes to enabling and supporting women in politics. Economically, institutions like Econet, some of them who are here, Econet, Work Africa and all that, we've worked with them. Economically, they know the value and they're investing very seriously when it comes to economic. Socio, all these institutions here, this has really worked herself crazy all her life since she was a young girl to help bring out that social aspect that is going to empower the woman to get herself out there, well packaged. Technology is here with us today. Whether we like it or not, we can't run away, so we must really invest in it and see how we women, how can we get using the technology today. I love all the young women here. My young girls. They are champions of using technology. And even in my own organization, what we are trying to do, we are identifying the young, the youth, who are very quick with technology, and we are linking them up to seasoned business women who they sit down, they develop for them programs, they go into social marketing, marketing online for them. So for us, if we must move to the next level, then technology is very important. So those four things must come together. Now, going back into investment, me, like I told you, friends, the only thing I understand is how a woman can make money. Please. And I'm not apologetic about it. A woman must make money. Because when you have money, I was listening to Nduta. Nduta, where are you, my dear sister? Nduta said we struggled. We didn't know where to begin. And if we investigate, at the end of the day, honestly speaking, it was about, does she have enough financial support to get herself on the ground to do proper campaigns? Ladies, let me tell you, we need to make money. Number one, equity. For those of us who are in business, the best investment, and I'm talking about you as an investor. How do you, as a woman, become an investor? Dese and the team, they are doing very well trying to bring investors to us. Whether it's political, there are those who are coming to invest. If it is, there are those who are coming to invest. Econet, Work Africa, they are doing whatever they must do because of the economic investment. But you as a woman, equity, if you have a business, you are struggling. My sister, just look for a partner. Sell part of the company. Sink in the capital. Don't struggle. We own ideas. Friends and relatives is another source. Our Asian brothers, listen to me. I have a couple of them who are very dear and personal friends. Yeah. They invest within their friends and within their relatives. Go and give an Asian brother a building like this to build. You bring his cousin to supply the cement. He will bring the other brother to bring the construction machines. He will bring the other who is going to provide the network and relationship so that he can get the loan at the whatever bank. He will bring the other who is going to supply XYZ. What happens to us as Africans? Wa ukipata, ukipewa kazi na sister yako, unanyakua, unaenda mara kijijini, vita ndio hiyo. Tuseme ukweli, let's be very honest to ourselves. Wivu, hautaki kuona dadako akiwa nao bwana. Unaanza kufikiri tangu dese apandishwe cheo, siku hizi akiingia huku hata asalimianangi, tangu aanze kuendeza ile Prado yako ile dese. Siku hizi asalimianangi. That is not acceptable in the business realm, friends. We have to grow up, we have to stir up. Kitu ingine mimi napenda sana, Tanzania kule tunaiita vikoba. In Kenya we call them chamas. A beautiful investment, let me tell you, friends. You throw in that coin of yours at the end of the year. When they break, they need kuvunja vikoba. Kuvunja. You go back home with your 300,000, 500,000, and it may look not regulated by the CBK, which is true, unlike SACCOs, but it's another good way of investing, because in business we have two sets of women. We have those who are in formal businesses, we have those who are in informal businesses. Those who are in those we call informal, they are 70%, they are the majority. But you see the chama, the vikoba thing, they come to help you to become an investor. You become an investor in your own self. SACCOs, I love it. When I go to town and I see all the matatus, when you go to the markets, it's this and this and this SACCO. SACCO movement is very powerful, cooperative. It's another way you as a woman, I said I'll talk about you, how you can become an investor. Allow me to give a good example as I finalize. Esther Passaris was a businesswoman. Yes. She invested in business, grew up planning. Today she's in politics. We need to give clap to her. Let us look at our sister, Kiroche. Yes. Doesn't matter whether beaten left and center. She's one of the Africans' top. Tabitha is one of the top African women business owners. Today, look at her. She's risen and she's right on top there. So, sisters, let me tell you, our banks, traditional banks, they are giving boats. They are selling boats. Minimum 100,000. Today, one of the best-selling boats, sisters, is the infrastructure one. But nobody talks about it. No. There are no taxation in it. Really? Oh, yes. And guess how much even some of them are going for? 13.8%. Yes. Big money. Big boys are making money because they have all this information with them. We have no information. So, bandada kuweka kale kapesa kako pale in that account, unaingia pale una-invest. Wanaume siku hizi wana-invest in those infrastructure boards because the government needs money. Wanangojea mishahara wakiwa wamelala kwa mabibi zao. If you ask him where he's getting this money, he's not telling you. I think I want to make my final call and say, sisters, while others are investing in us, please invest in yourself. Invest in something.
Teach us.
I am here to teach you. Let me just take it back to Datari. Then she will show us how we can come in and see how we can. We will, at the end of the day, we will live here as investors. Thank you very much.
Daisy, please call us for a meeting where we discuss investments. Yes. We need a class.
Nancy, Baliana and Beatrice, we are doing it. ASAP.
Wajua sisi tunaelewa tu, nunua kashamba, fuga hivi kidogo, mboga kidogo. Sasa tunataka kujua hii bonds yenye haina tax, sababu tax inatumaliza, lakini lazima pia tulipe ushuru tujitegemee. Now, Dr. Mbithi, I want to come back to you, and I have 2 questions for you. I know, Dr. Mbithi, you have looked at the budget statement for this country. Several years with Professor Kabira, you have been looking at the budget statement with other economists. What are some of the challenges you see around how investments in issues that concern women? What are some of those challenges that you see in that context? And how do we navigate those challenges? How do we deal with gender barriers? Some of the things we have been told, like Nancy has said, it is even lack of knowledge. And why don't we have that knowledge as women? Why do men have that knowledge? So how do we deal with the challenges? How do we navigate the gender barriers that prevent women from investing in themselves, and also the state, the government investing in women, and also other partners investing in women?
Thank you. I think the challenges that women face are many. And for example, one of them, when it comes to participation in the economy, and the one that we see in the budget, is that the resources committed to those sectors are limited. In economics, we say resources can never be enough, but the point is to prioritize and find out, what makes a lot of impact and put more resources into that. So one of the challenges that women face is accessing capital, and with regards to budgets, we find that little amounts of money are committed to affirmative action funds, for example, and that goes down to mean that when women access these funds as a group, then they will end up accessing very little funds, which they may not be able to use. They may access them, yes, but the size of those loans are small for them to make those big investments and invest in those big bonds, for example, such as infrastructure bonds and others. So they end up getting like 5,000 or 10,000, which again is limiting. So availability of resources is a big challenge. And why do women find this particularly a challenge? Of course, it's the issues of collateral and so on, and therefore they find that affirmative action funds, which have less requirements, what they can access there is a little bit much less. So the other thing, Nancy has very aptly talked about it, is limited access to information about the opportunities that exist. We've just heard about the infrastructure bonds. We have done a study in many counties in Kenya, and they were asking them, have you heard of Women Enterprise Fund? And it was shocking to find that only 49% of the women that we talked to in 4 counties in Kenya, and that can be extended to mean the whole of Kenya, we found that 49% of the women we spoke to had heard about Women Enterprise Fund. But I think Women Enterprise Fund is one of the funds where women can easily access, and it's affirmative action funds, but women don't know. So that is one of the simplest a way of showing limitations in information. Information about HAGPO. We've talked to so many women. We told them, do you know there are opportunities that government has given for you as affirmative action funds? As affirmative, you can be able to supply government services and goods, whether it's at the county level or at national level, and women don't know. So access to information is another one key challenge that remains a barrier for women today, which we have as really highlighted and needs to be addressed. So another thing is, for example, time constraints. And I think, Dr. Ari, you've talked about it at the start. Time constraints, because we know that women have a lot of care work to do. And we do this with a lot of love because it's our responsibility, it's for the family. But again, that creates, it's not a mutual. You can't do it when you are taking care of a sick person or a child. you can't be in the marketplace at the same time. You can't be investing in doing business and so on. And so those are some of the challenges. And of course, the capacity in terms of, it can be in terms of the finances to go to the investment that Nancy has talked about. It's about the skills, it's about the know-how. All those are challenges that women face when it comes to doing business. And of course, we find that there is little finances in budgeting that goes, or it is not enough, that goes into supporting women or supporting and addressing such barriers. Now, when it comes to education, and because when you talk about capacity, education is one of the best ways, of supporting women so that they can be able to participate or to build their capacity to participate in the economy. Of course, we do have money that goes into education, but we know these resources are particularly constrained in higher levels of education and even in the basic areas of education. And as I talked earlier of the girls that drop out of school, because of pregnancy and so on, what happens? Do we have resources going to those to support these young women? Because when these young women are supported to continue with education, that will mean better value for their future in working. It will increase their earnings by 20%. Because when these women are trained, they go back to school, they get the skills, they get trained. That will give them the ICT skills that we are talking about. It will give them the know-way, it will give them the competitive edge to participate, to apply for that job and to get those opportunities. Those resources tend to be limited, or investments in those areas are less limited. The other thing is about supporting women in leadership. Let me not talk much about that because you have said it, but about women health, reproductive health is another key area, because we know there are many challenges that come with reproductive health, and that those challenges are particularly relate to women. So again, we find there's not enough investment in those areas or commitments in terms of budget to support those areas, and it is important that those areas are really taken into account. The issue of data, it is very important, and research, I think Nancy has talked about it. Or Sarah's talked about it. And for example, for us, what we are doing is we are investing in knowing what works. Because we know it's one thing to say, let us invest in this area and in the other one. And it is important to understand what works when we invest in that area, because we'll be able to highlight that and upscale that what has worked, and what is not working we do away with and think of other ways of investing in areas that can support women. So research is important, investment in research is important on what works for women in businesses, in the workplace, because that is the only way to get women in the workplace. And then another thing which is very important is also investing in gender disaggregated data, because it's when we'll be able to know, these finances which were available, who got them? Is it men? Is it women? And if it is women, we ask, how can these women be able, what are the barriers, and how can they access these finances better? We consider that important, because once we have the evidence, then that is good for advocacy, because when we advocate with statistics, they say that statistics do not lie. So that is very convincing, and it can, make people change mind, because they will understand we have invested in a childcare. This is what it means for women's businesses. And with regards to that reproductive responsibilities of women, let me talk about investing in supporting reduction of the burden of unpaid care on women. And for example, we find that currently in Kenya, for a long time we did not have public investments in child care facilities. Yet child care facilities is a responsibility mainly for the women. And we know that norms really, and the requirement by the community is that women undertake these care responsibilities, even for the sick and the elderly and so on, and people that are also challenged. And women take them very positively, and they can do this work very easily. So it is necessary for the state, for the county government, for government to set resources, that will support such services, that will enable women to perform those responsibilities in a faster way in terms of technology, and also in terms of ensuring that there is infrastructure. For example, for child support, child cages or child care centers where women can be able to leave their babies so that they can go to work, so that they can be able to concentrate in their businesses, and that will be helpful for these people. So we have realized that we have, when, for example, women who are involved in informal cross-border trade have a place to leave their children, and they can pay as little as 50 shillings per day, they'll be able to spend more than at least 8 hours in a day, and they will have a lot of peace. And because where the babies are is not far away from where they are working from, and they can, step in, check on this baby, find the baby is doing well, and come and work. And when they do that, we have realized that women within 1 year have been able to increase their sales turnover, the amount they sell per month, by 25%. And of course, their profits have been able to increase. And this means if we invest in such infrastructure, it's good for women's development. It's good for women to be involved in businesses and in economic activities. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Mbithi. Sasa naambiwa kidogo muda umeyoyoma na umetupa kisogo kidogo. Hivyo lazima turudi katika floor ili tuchukue maswali yale ya plenary. Hivyo basi tutawapa nafasi Sarah na Nancy na pia Dr. Mbithi kujibu maswali yenu. Muda umetupa kisogo. So let's take some questions from the floor for our panelists, please. There's a mic going round. We'll take, I think, 2 rounds. We'll take 1 round and then another round. Okay. Please let us know your name and then your question. Your name, organization, then question.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Nelly Chepkemoi, representing We Care Organization and the ODM party. You talked of, Daktari talked of the budget. So when you look at the budget, just recently before the bill was passed, and Daktari, thank you for your insights. You talked also about investing. So when it comes to the budget and how views were being collected publicly from the public, there was instances where women and even the youth had their concerns, but now you have the issue of when it gets to the floor of the House, then things are manipulated. There's a lot of cannibalization in Parliament. So how can we as women fight that? Because you're speaking of the budget, you're speaking of us voicing our concerns, but when we voice our concerns, they get to the floor of the House, due to the cannibalization that is happening, all our concerns just remain untouched. So how can we solve that? Thank you.
My name is Marion Njoroge. My biggest question and challenge is, how are we localizing this conversation? We are all here gathered in Nairobi, Panari, Africa. But there are other very aggressive women down there in our villages. In my village in Kihara, there are women who would want to benefit from this. How are we localizing this struggle and this conversation? We want women to get into politics. A constituency, let's talk of a constituency maybe like Ijara, maybe few women have gone to school, but they are very aggressive women who mobilized and turn around things there. If we localize this conversation, we can be able to put that woman into school in the next 4 years. She'll complete and vie. But as long as we keep speaking from Nairobi, as long as we speak, I think bado mapambano.
Good morning, ladies. Okay, my name is Diana Kolek, and I'm representing Women in Business. And I just want to say thank you to Madam Nancy. What you said, I cannot even top it up. It was really excellent. So for me, I have a comment, and I just want to talk a little bit about one of the challenges that was mentioned by the speakers, about increasing the pool of women going into political office. And there are these people, I like calling them the unsung heroes, or the king makers or queen makers. And most of them are actually women. And there's one thing that we need to note. Most of the people who go out for public office, most of them are women doing businesses. That is one thing that I would like us to appreciate. And you will find that these kingmakers are actually the ones who are usually called the mobilizers. And most of them are women. So how about we look at how we can invest in these women to actually take up political office or to vie for these positions instead of looking for women from elsewhere. Most of these mobilizers will find that they are the women in the communities, they're the women in the chamas. So for me, I think that will be the best place to get a bigger pool. That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay. The mic. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you to the panelists. My name is Hannah Wangombe. I'm here in my capacity in the WeHub. A lot has been said yesterday and this morning, and the common phrase we are told is that when you're not on the table, you're on the menu. But we are being told further that if they don't give you a space at the table, bring your chair. Bring your own folding chair, isn't it? And I think we had many women giving their experiences about how they had to force their way to sit at that table. But my question has been, and even as we're talking about 2/3 gender rule yesterday, and today about investing in women, do we go to the table prepared? And I think it was alluded to yesterday. How are we presenting ourselves as women? You go to the bank, you're ill-prepared. You're going to present yourself for a political appointment, you're ill-prepared. And so as I'm reflecting about the issues of where we need to invest in women, I think there are 3 key areas that we have to prioritize. Education, and I'm not talking about school. I'm not talking about formal education. I'm talking about mentorship. Just soft skills about how you show up. Very soft skills. Number 2, technology. This is where we are going as the world. We are competing with the women of the world. So for us, technology, when we are asking our young daughters to choose courses in our universities, in our vocational schools, where are we plugging in as women? What are the areas we should prioritize and say, even if we're taking our children for agriculture courses, the world is moving to agribusiness and value addition, looking at value chains. Where are we taking our women to focus their education on? When we talk about creating awareness for women, in what areas? We work with women in grassroots. They don't understand the law. They don't understand the regulatory framework. And this should be prioritized as areas of awareness. And so for me, Team Daisy, as we walk along, and the questions that we focused, where do we plug in, even to this conversation? Which areas do you want us to plug in? As women in leadership, as women working with women in grassroots. And so for me, I want to know, where do I sign up after this? Thank you.
Thank you. I see we have a couple of hands, but time is also not on our side. So I'll just take the 3 hands. There's one there, then I see Beatrice, and then we have one hand there. I think she, okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amoiti Immaculate. I'm representing Eco Network and also from Busia County. And so I just want to speak on behalf of grassroots women movement building. I appreciate the fact that grassroots women are being recognized and we are in the room. But then what are some of the approaches that can be used to ensure that the existing grassroots movement, number one, are strengthened, and number two, are well equipped to continue the awareness of the 2/3 gender rule? Because I'm looking at counties and I'm looking at municipal boards. How many women at grassroots level are aware that they can sit on those municipal boards? How many women, young women and senior women, are aware that they can sit in school health committees, in health committees? Because that is where we influence even standard operating guidelines at that particular hospital, at that particular school, at that particular municipal board. You find there are markets and there are no toilets because no woman at grassroots level sits at the board. So for me, the question is, from this room, because I understand there are various women from different places in Mombasa, in Machakos, how are these women strengthened to take this message back home? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Beatrice. Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace. My question is in regards to Mary Mbithi. You spoke about reproductive health and sensitization investments, yeah? I work with Gala Pomoja. Our co-work is to enhance menstrual health, education, and eradicating menstrual poverty. But one of the challenges, most of the challenges that we get is mobilizing resources, ensuring the girls stay in school, because menstrual is a huge factor on its own. So is there a place where there are already mobilized resources that can equip organizations and many clubs in the machinanis, in the low-caste areas like Kajiado, where we can reach out, get the funds, because sometimes it's a challenge obtaining resources in order to reach out to many girls and educating, and you can't talk about education when they can't access the basic commodity that will help them stay in class. So is there a way, or people, or investments, or ways to access that?
Thank you. Finally, Beatrice.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Meroka. For those who don't know me, my name is Beatrice Kamau, and now I'm wearing the hat of the chair of the Women in Leadership and Decision Making gender group. I hear my friend Marion talking about moving from here to grassroots. How many times do you come to these hotels? Let's not beat ourselves so hard. We only come once a year. And we have come from the grassroots. So can you go back to the grassroots now? Because that's where we are usually. Even Marion, I know you as a grassroots woman. So sometimes we beat ourselves hard and then we criticize ourselves just because I have not been in Panari for the last 4 years. Now I'm happy that I'm here today. So I think it's good that sometimes we come here and discuss. Then in leadership, we are talking about expanding our leadership, where we don't just see the political leadership, but we see all kinds of leadership, even in businesses. We have several women here from different movements. We have World March of Women. Ebu lift your hand if you are world. Yeah, we have many. We have Nabwe. If you are from Nabwe, lift up your hand. That's another movement. Hey, Nabwe, wanawake wale wamekuja kutoka WeHub, wao ndio Nabwe. Then we have National Women's Steering Committee. Yeah, these are also, that is a movement. Now, and we are on the ground, but now today we are coming here. Then I come back to Madam Nancy Gitonga. I feel like taking you tukae pamoja sasa tutajirike tukitoka hapa because you have the answers. But we women have to start talking to our women, and please give, even if it is 1 hour or 2 hours every week, to the women there at the grassroots. Now we have WEF, which has been doing very well. It is one of the government funds that has been doing very well for government. But now they introduced what we are calling digital, and they have gone down now. You have to register afresh, and you are getting 50,000. That is the minimum. First of all, we had said that amount was very little because you have to be 10 women, 5,000. Utakula hiyo pesa ama utakopa ufanye naye biashara, inaleta shida. Alafu, they are not considering the ones who had even gone up to millions. And then some groups are not made of 10 women. So you have to get the minimum number of women to make groups that is not making sense. Rather than having a group of 300 women, hao hata wakipatiana shilingi 100 kila siku, wanaweza kupia kusaidia, lakini it's not helping. I want to ask WEF, they have the digital, but now women today, there are people who are calling themselves teachers, especially in Kiambu. They are charging every woman 600, a group of 10 to access 50,000. So 6,000 is already gone from the 50,000. And I don't know whether they are government agents and what is the government is doing about it. I know you are not government, but what can be done about it?
Very quickly, thank you. Okay, my name is Cynthia Mutere. I live and work in Busia, and so I feel empowered enough to speak on behalf of Busia. Thank you, panelists, for that very rich conversation on investing in women. But I just wanted to add on, without really speaking too much, on how do we get this message down. One of the strategies that we are doing is that 2/3 is almost related to Daisy. Daisy is 2/3, so everybody's like Daisy, Daisy. So the name that is quickly coming is Daisy. What is Daisy doing? Daisy was at the Devolution Conference last week. That you did a commendable job. I'm not just patting you on the head, on the back, but I really need to say that we now have devolution. We now have county government. We now have members of the county assemblies. We now have nominated women in these county assemblies. These are the people that need to be involved in public participation and be our champions. Don't shy away from approaching these women. Please, if this message needs to get to Mashinani, we also need to use these strategies. What is Econet doing in Busia? And how are they reaching those women, Mashinani? How do we get those women to come out and be part of public participation? Because in public participation, that's why government policy is being reached. You don't leave it to the Ligulu and the sub-chief to mobilize, and whoever they have mobilized, the Nyumba Kumi, are the ones who are going to show up at these barazas where this information is coming out. I'm really speaking as a former MCA, and I've been on the ground and I have seen how the information gets mashinani. There's minimal participation of women. We have the strong women in the strong chamas, the chair ladies and the treasurers and all, but then you see they have remained in their groups. If they can come out into public participation where government policy is being spoken of, and then we are going to get into that critical mass that Muhaya was talking about. We want as many women in 2027. Yani wawe tu, yani kila mwanamke, yani kila nyumba itoe mtu, mwanamke mmoja, yani we get to that. Minimum kila boma, iwe na candidate, mwanamke, you know, and start saying this. It sounds foolish, but that's what it was. People had the starter packs for youth. I know youth were very aggressive in the last election, but women, we really need to do that. Kila boma itoe mwanamke, and let's see if we can get that critical mass. And that's how this information is going to get down there. Let's not beat ourselves for being in this conference here in Nairobi. I've actually also just traveled into Nairobi for this conference, just as Beatrice was saying. We are down at the ground, the information is reaching there. Don't shy away from speaking it. Daisy keeps speaking about 2/3, 2/3, 2/3. Daisy, 2/3, Daisy, 2/3. Even you make it your agenda. And I think Nancy Baraza said that yesterday. And the Professor Kaberia, yeah. She said, let it be on your lips so that we are all champions of 2/3. Let your name be synonymous of 2/3. Asante.
Lazima tuanze kumalizia haya mazungumzo yetu. Kwa hivyo nataka niwape panelists wetu kila mmoja dakika moja ili mjibu yale maswali ambayo yameulizwa kutoka kwenye floor. Lakini pia ningependa kila mmoja wenu atupatie action point. Mada yetu ya mkutano, kongamano letu jana na leo ni inclusive governance, sote pamoja, and we are asking what are our action points. Tukitoka hapa tukirudi mashinani, Beatrice amesema tumetoka mashinani, tutarudi mashinani, hivyo lazima pia tuwe, let us be kind to ourselves. It's been a good meeting, but when we leave here, what is our action point? Please, in 1 minute, if we could each respond to the questions that have been fielded, and then give us your action point, your rallying call for us. And I'll start with you, Sarah. Thank you.
Shall I use yours? Thank you very much. Allow me not to go back to the questions that have been answered, but I do agree. Bado mapabano. I know it sounds like cliche, but you know that is the reality. Hatujafika. We are on the right track. The trajectory is okay. Numbers are increasing. Women are getting more money in their pockets. FGM is getting reduced. We are on the right track generally. And I think the Cabinet Secretary stated that. But we are not there yet. There's a movie by that name, yeah? Title. I want to therefore say that you are the people to go to the grassroots. That is why you're here. We must start what my group CEO, Dr. Jennifer Riria, calls the catalyzing approach. Umeshika patia mwingine. Umeshika patia mwingine. And don't, I think it was one of the American presidents who said, don't ask what America can do for you. Ask instead, what can I do for America? Don't ask, what are we doing to go to the grassroots? Instead, turn that question and say, I will do something and reach my mother, my grandfather, etc. That's a challenge for you and for me. Number 2, in terms of the responses, ill-preparedness, that is true. We go into business ill-prepared. I liked the way, I think it was Joroge who put it. We just enter, you know, kina mama tunaingia tu. Kihorera, is it kihorera urera? Like we just get into situations. And let me speak for the women who want to run for political offices. In 2019, the UN Women and a couple of other organizations, together with Eco Network Africa, put together a national curriculum for women running for political office. And we picked a lot of advice from Democrats in the US. And within that curriculum, there is the A to Z of running for office. We're going to start the rolling out of that curriculum for phase 2 next year. I can tell you, Daisy, we already have allowed 60 women who have signed in. I don't know that we have any here. Is there any? Julia is one. I see another there. There are women who are saying, hii safari ya kesho tuanze sasa. So I want to suggest to us, if you want to run for political office, enroll with Democracy Trust Fund. You can see me after this, or you can, whatever you do to get to us, and we will put you on the list for the women who will be trained. It is not just training and preparation. We are also encouraging women to save. Hii kitu ya kusema, I don't have money to pay for this, to pay for that, lazima ishe. So we have said, start saving your money now. A little money. Among the Democrats, they say early money is like yeast. Emily, you save kidogo today, tomorrow you'll have some money to pay for your party nomination fee. Daisy and I may come in and help with materials and branding, etc., etc. But you must be able to finance basic things. That is where the money from Nancy comes in. And so we must start saving now. Hii safari ya 2027 ianze sasa. Safari ya kesho lazima ianze. And then my last comment is that we really need to professionalize our path to leadership. Because women start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. So you never quite accumulate your political gains. Your political capital keeps diminishing. I guess that's the word. Because you don't build onto it. You must keep building the numbers you got, Julia, in 2022. Don't stop. 2027, build on them. You never know. That could be the one vote that will make you win. But our women are always starting and stopping for many, many reasons. So I encourage us to join the Democracy Trust Fund so that then we can all work together as others come in to help. Finally, I really think we need to stop breaking down the woman into pieces. The woman in business, the woman in politics, the woman farmer, the woman teacher. It's the same girl, isn't it? So where are we splitting her? Let us look at that girl. The one who is in business is the one who will run for politics because she's a wholesome woman. So this siloing and splitting and breaking the woman, like we are many, many different pieces and faces, really got to stop. We must invest in that woman so that she has money, she's prepared to run, she is able to look after her children, she is a good advocate, and she is also championing for the rule of law, including enforcement of critical legal pieces. Article 43, for example, on socio-economic rights for us, the articles on the 2/3, we must be one, moving together, though different. Thank you.
There were several questions which were directed to me. The first one was how to fight cannibalization, and especially when we have made, women and youth have made contributions through public participation. One thing I would say is whether our ideas are taken or not, ideas that we've committed through public participation, I would say let us keep it on. We need to participate at the county level, at the national level, at whatever areas which require our input in with regards to public participation. Let us keep going, whether our ideas are taken or not, because I believe one time they will be taken. And how we can reduce this is to work with our representatives there, and especially the women are members of parliament and women representatives, just to talk to them because they are at the center stage. So if we increase participation of women and youth in parliament and in decision-making positions, then they can better lobby because they are at that table and will contribute better. So better working with them. The other question was how can we take this conversation like the one we have today to mashinani? I think a lot has been said about women movement, and I want to reiterate what Beatrice has said. For example, the Women Economic Empowerment Hub, we have the networking and alliance building for women economic empowerment. And what we are doing is we want to be in touch with women all over the country. This is a women movement. We want women to be involved in issues related to policy, to women economic empowerment. And what we are doing at the Hub is we want to take advantage of technology and use online meetings, use all those available technologies, and we can collaborate. Different women movements that are existing, let us collaborate and let us use technology so that we can be able to participate. Because women, even in mashinani, have smartphones. They can be able to access through Zoom, through Google platforms, through WhatsApp. They can be able to communicate. So this is a powerful force of technology that we can use for women movement in Kenya, so that we advocate for things that matter for women and youth, and for our inclusion in all the spheres of the economy, in decision making, in politics. Reproductive health, there was a question related to where the resources, what are some of the resources which can be used, especially to support menstrual health. And one of the things that we can do, again, as a part of public participation, is to continue looking at the budget, identifying reproductive health, and giving in our request, even at the county level, proposals on how more monies can be committed to such sectors, because the money is always less that is committed there. Probably that will raise the monies that can be committed to those areas, and that will be helpful. One more interesting thing that the Hub is doing is we are supporting women groups. For example, we have a group in Tharaka Nithi, or Meru, one of the two groups, who are working on banana fiber, and what we have done is we have supported them through Kildi and through Kenya Industrial Estates. They'll get the skills to use banana fiber to produce, pads and so on. And this will be helpful because if we have more production of such products, then prices are likely to come down, and that is helpful. So we can also think of ways of, increasing the supply, and that will mean less cost, and especially when we use our local materials and technologies are there existing, like we have learned Kildi as a machine, which can do that. That is helpful to the economy. Thank you.
Dr. Mbithi, your action point, please.
Okay. Now, with regards to better inclusion for women, one of the things we can do is incubate women businesses. I think that is very important because women businesses have continued to remain small, and they are not growing, and one way we can support them is let us incubate them to grow. Secondly, let us ensure support to infrastructure that reduce the barriers related to care work where women are mostly involved. This includes more investments in clean energy, which will be efficient for women, whether it's public or private investments, and also access to childcare facilities, affordable. Actually, it's access to affordable and quality childcare services, because this will save time for women. And of course, social support is very important, including transfers by the government, private as well as public support through cash transfers, because this will support the need, those that need care, for example, persons who are sick, the elderly, and so on. If these investments ensure, increased support, it will also lower the time that women spend in such activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think most of the questions, Sarah and Dr. here, they have tackled them. Allow me please to just give a serious backup to what Beatrice Kamau just said. It is true. One of the investments that we need and we must tap into as women is the government funding. UESO fund, youth fund, women fund, Hustler fund, whatever fund. It is our constitutional right. However, how is it being given to us? Vitu ndogo ndogo ambaye iwezi kajaza mdomo ama nini? 50,000 you are supposed to divide among 10. Team Daisy, Njemeni, for those 6 months mukienda kuandika hiyo vitu na Sarah and the rest of the team, because we were given that list. These are some of the things that need to be addressed, revised. It's a joke. Where is the missing middle? The woman who really is in a capacity to run for a political office is in the category of what we call the missing middle. The missing middle is an empowered woman, is an knowledgeable woman, is a woman who need to wake up and look for money, need to go akope hela ya kutosha milioni moja, milioni mbili, and she has the capacity to repay back. So why can't we have that category also being included in the government grants or government funds? So I'm with you 100%, Beatrice. And the team, they say they will see how they are going to work on that. I think listening to most of my sisters, lack of information is what is killing us. Exactly. Biblia inasema we suffer because of lack of knowledge. Na ni kweli. A lot of information is being hidden from us. I think it's the high time we are going to look for it and get it. By force. By fire. Because when you get that information, my friend, utaingia hiyo ofisi ukishika hivi unasema mimi niko na hii, si mimi niliandika, hii ni katiba, hivi ndivyo inasema, niko hapa naomba nihudumiwe. Na watakupa nafasi. Let me give you an example. The other day I walked into an office. Hey, mkubwa aliingia akaita the secretary akasema, hii kikao tuko nayo kwa boardroom haitafanyika. Get that woman called Nancy out of here. Get out to find out ni nini anataka. Alisema lazima kuone. I am allowed because this boardroom, the meeting in it will not take place when that woman is out there. By fire. You have to get in. Ukiingia hivi wanasema address her first. Mundumie kwanza so that the rest of the business can take place. We are in a lot of problems, friends. Let me tell you. We have AGPO, another beautiful gift from the Constitution. Try and go and look for AGPO certificate today. You'll be so frustrated. Why? You need a CR12, updated. If you don't have a CR12, you can't get it. You need a compliance certificate. I'm not saying we must pay taxes, definitely. But the things that come for you to become that compliant, to get that KRA compliance certificate, you know what it means. And the list goes on. Before you get that Agpo certificate, the tender you want to go for, imepita. Higher, you have gotten the Agpo certificate. You have gone to government website and downloaded those forms to tender. The language there, my friend, not many women understands it. We need revision of that information. We need things put in a language we are able to understand. So information is very important. Partnerships, that's the other thing, friends, we don't know. That's why we are struggling with mashinani. Now us in mashinani, akimkika huko mnakula tu mandas, then sis mashinani. Partnership, friends. Munaona hiyo? Angalia hiyo. Ndese vile yeye anajuanga maneno ya partnership. Wote anawaingiza ndani. It is partnership, collaboration that is going to get you there. Don't stand alone. Uko mashinani, kuna akina mama wa kanisa ya PCA, kuna akina mama wale wa jumuiya Catholic, kuna akina mama wale wa hii, kuna walimu, kuna this. You as a leader who is seated here today, please get them together. Have one common goal. I'm telling you, hata huyo mheshimiwa atakuwa na wainda na watafuta nyinyi ile kikao sasa, because they start getting worried when we women come together. As I finish, ability, you must have the ability to connect, to compete, and to adjust. Life is about adjustment. Don't stick there. See what is working and move to that level. And my take home, friends, I've finished. My take home. Business opportunities. Mimi niliwaambia mimi ni mtu wa biashara bwana. Mimi hiyo ndio lugha tu naongeanga na kina mama. Business opportunity. In Africa today, in 2019, in March, African Free Continental Trade Area Agreement was signed and Kenya is a signatory to it. Kenya has already ratified. How many people are trading? If you are here, you are trading using the AFCFTA, please let me see. Anybody here? It's only one lady? Only one. Do you even know what it entails? How many people here are sitting in the Kenya AFCFTA committees through the Ministry of Trade? If you are sitting in there and you are here, please put up your hand. Only one. Kuna moja tu, kuna wawili. Really? Out of all this big group, that is our chance as women to really to get to know what is happening in Africa. We need to push for bigger numbers. I sit in AFCFTA committees, but not in Kenya, at African Union. So I go to Ethiopia all the time. But here in Kenya, I have tried to see where I can fit in. Nobody is willing because they say, huyu anajua mambo mingi sana atakuja kutuvuruga. Anna, thank you very much. And occasion, opportunity, leadership. Anna is in charge of mining as far as women are concerned in Kenya. How many people are doing mining here and extraction? It's big business, friends. Ela kule ni mingi sana. You need to talk to Anna. She's here with us. Mining is big business. Anna, stand up. Women need to see you, Bana. Thank you very much. We are talking about recycling, environment, cleaning, takataka ni mali, Jemeni, Coca-Cola Foundation has billions of money in recycling, friends. Talk to me, Bandai. Niliwaambia nitawafunza jinsi ya hela. Building and construction, mijengo. Hata serikali Njemeni wanasema kuna low housing nini. kama unataka kuingia mjengo, lazima uende you have to register yourself. And let me tell you friends, you don't need to register a construction company. All you need to do is get yourself linked up to the construction companies, sign MOUs, use your lawyers. They will do the work and you can keep 40%.
Yeah. Yes.
You don't need to own construction companies. There are MOUs you sign with the companies that do construction.
Allow me, Nancy, to say that we have to wind up.
Sorry, I've finished. Let me just give the last point. My last point is, friends, this is the beginning of it. We are here. I'm here the whole day. Let's talk and let's see how we can invest in women.
Thank you, panelists. Tumeelimishwa, tumehamasishwa, jamani, tuwape maua yao. We can do better than that. Tuwape maua. Thank you, Sarah Muhaya. Thank you, Dr. Mary Mbithi. Thank you, Nancy Gitonga. Back to you, Olive. Thank you.
Thank you, too. All right, Dr. Meroka, and because we said information is power, we have a representative from GAF who just wanted to speak to the products they also offer. 30 seconds.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aziza Lesorogol, and I'm representing the CEO on GAF. Mine is just to talk about the women economic empowerment. And as much as the government is giving out the grants and the loans, GAF is offering grants through the Women Reps office. Naona mheshimiwa ananiangalia sana, so she knows what I'm talking about. So you guys, mnaweza liaise na Women Reps kwa ofisi zenu, because those funds are not for loans. They are grants. They are being offered to groups, women, people with disabilities,
guys,
youths.
Please, let's listen, please, tafadhali. Thank you.
Youths, the elderly, and even the scholarships are there. So kindly liaise with the Women Reps. There is a committee in GAF in the county, so kindly do that and you will be helped. Hamtalipa loans, mtapewa grants. Sawa sawa.
All right, thank you. Mumemskia? You can still find her, she's around. She's been here since yesterday. Ladies, tafadhali, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nyoka Bengare. I am here representing Eco Network. We also offer legal services in the grassroots areas. I only have a comment, and my comment is with regards to public participation. I feel like there's a lot of ignorance when it comes to that, and I'd like to say that we actually mobilize women to come out and participate in public participation. The only challenge we have is that government does not normally meet us halfway. So I'd like to know how is it that or rather, how do we approach or meet our leaders out there who, at the end of the day, when you meet them, they'll tell you that they don't have a budget or they don't have money for public participation. So a lot of the times, it's the CSOs that are left to cater for the public participation for something that is supposed to be catered for by the government. So I'd like to understand what exactly or how exactly do we get to liaise or partner with our government. Thank you very much.
There was just one more point of information from WEF, and then I will invite us to take our tea break as we're ready for the next panel discussion. Quickly, please.
Hello, good morning. My name is Catherine Mwangi, representing the CEO Women Enterprise Fund. I feel that I needed to say something in regards to the comment by Beatrice. I know Women Enterprise Fund remodeled initially. I'm actually happy to see some of our beneficiaries on the previous model that we used to lend to the women. Previously, we used to lend up to 750,000 to the women groups. But with the current government of the day, we have digitized our products and unfortunately, the limit of 50,000 for 10 groups has been discussions, and I want to confirm that we've noted the concerns from the women at the grassroots, the mashinani, and the localized areas, and we are working to ensure that we increase and be able to give maybe up to 750. I don't want to confirm that it will be 750,000, but the 50,000 threshold, we know that it's minimal. Na haiwezi saidia up to 10 women in a group. So let me say that and be on record that the management, the board, and the leadership, together with the Ministry of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, State Department for Gender, the leadership is aware of the concerns from the women at the grassroots level, and we are able to, we are working to ensure that we increase the limit and be able to onboard all the women.
All right, thank you so very much for that point of information. Katu Mesmama, have you taken note of her face as well? And there's a lady from GAF, you can stand again. Yeah, if you have any other questions, follow-up questions on their products, seek them out during tea break. I know you had more questions from for our panel as well. I want us to thank by way of our hand clap, Dr. Agnes K. Meroka Mutua. She is a researcher, teacher, gender equality advocate, and human rights advocate. Makofi yake. Thank you for a brilliantly moderated panel.
Woman, yeah, I'm a superwoman. Woman, I'm a superwoman.